DY Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data. We know what you want because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors. Card Ladder. Join the innovators, not the imitators.
Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana with the shortest hair on the podcast today. And today's going to be a great, fun exercise. We are each going to look at the top 100 highest paid NBA players based on their salary next season. So this is a snapshot, and if we're off a little bit, give us a break. But this is the 100 highest paid players with next season's salary. We're going to pick out our 3 best contracts out of these 100 and our 3 worst out of these 100. Are we all on the same page? Do we all do the same exercise and do our research?
No, I thought we were doing 5, but I can do 3 real quick. That's
well,
easy.
I said that's great. My instructions were do 5 because I have a sneaky suspicion we're going to have some overlap, especially on the worst contracts, right? So I think we're all going to have a couple of the usual suspects. So that's why I wanted to do 5 so we could each have 3 unique. And we might not even still get 3 unique, but that's kind of the plan. What do you think, Jonathan? I always ask you, you want to do the best first and then the worst? Let's do the best first and do the worst last, because the worst are going to be the most enjoyable to watch. And by the way, this is Cajun Jr. Cam is on the channel again, and then obviously Coach Pixley, a recurring guest. And if you're watching this video, that means you've watched videos in the past. And so we're excited about this one. This one's going to be really, really fun. And I've got screen share ready. So if we need to pull up, I don't know, let's just say Bradley Beal stats or something like that, we could always go pull those stats up and just pulling names out of a hat. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'm going to be shocked. I'm going to be shocked if we don't all agree on the worst contract. I'm going to be absolutely blown.
Oh, we're not. My worst is not going to be the same one that you have.
Oh,
I know who you're going to have because you're so biased and you're so predictable. But you got to let me try to guess. You got to let me try to guess before you say it. But before we start, Cam was mentioning this before we hit the record button. He's like, I couldn't find any good contracts. And I did concede that it was much easier to identify shitty contracts than it is good contracts, because they all seem really good for the player, because this is a hellacious amount of money. I can't believe it. I think I'm hearing that, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, when he signs his extension, he's going to be making $70 million a year by the end of his next contract. And it's hard to say somebody deserves it, but I mean, hell, man, what a season, right? Best team, best record, MVP, conference finals MVP, led the league in scoring, first team all NBA.
Stop it. Nobody deserves $70 million.
I know. That's what I was getting. You didn't let me finish. You didn't let me get the word in there, but holy crap, that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot, all right, so let's get cranking. We don't want to waste too much time. We're recording this, believe it or not, the day of game 1 of the NBA Finals. So tonight is the first game, but honestly, I'm so talked out. We had it was almost like a Super Bowl break. We had too much time. I don't want to hear any more about the Pacers' strengths versus the Thunder strengths. It's going to be awesome, but everybody's talked ad nauseum. Just let the Thunder go out there and sweep these boys, and let's move on and start talking about some stuff in the offseason. So we're going to talk about something completely unrelated. We're going to talk about salaries for next year and give us our best and worst. All right, let's start with the baby. Cam, give us your third best. We're going to build up to a crescendo, all right? Our third best salary.
I went with Alex Caruso.
Okay. Was Alex Caruso on the list?
Yeah.
He makes $18 million.
He is one of the 100 highest paid players in the NBA. My God, where was he? He was down there.
He makes 18, right? 18 a year?
18 million.
Yeah.
I just thought he contributes a lot to winning basketball, and at every place he's played at, he's contributed, and he makes the least amount of money. So
18 million. And I can't screen share because I've got all my notes on here. But yeah, for those of you at home, Alex Caruso is the 97th highest paid player in the NBA. And what's really ironic is he's right next to Andrew Nembhard, who they're going to be matched up a lot together tonight. I'm sure Caruso will spend plenty of time on Tyrese Halliburton, as will Dort, as will Jalen Williams, as will SGA. But it's interesting that, we've got these two teams, and they're going to be a number of players from both of these two teams that are on this list. And very few of the players on those teams would we put in our bad contracts. And so that's a big part of the reason why these two teams find their way where they are. So Nembhard is actually number 98 on the list, and Caruso is 97 on the list. Cam, that's a good contract. I like the contract. When he's making his threes, he's preposterous. He didn't make an all defensive team, but I think two other players from the Thunder did, or was it three?
So stupid, and he's the best defender on the team.
I think it's because of injuries. I think he did miss a good chunk of time, and I think Jonathan, if I recall, I think Caruso only played 19 minutes a game, dude.
Okay.
That makes it really tough. I mean, it makes it really tough to put him in over maybe somebody else that plays, 33 minutes a game. You know what I'm saying? Like Anunoby. I mean, you got some other really good defenders out there. If you're playing half the minutes, I mean, that's tough. So
I agree.
I think that's part of it. Plus, I know he missed a few games or whatever. That's a good pick. Is he in your top 5, Jonathan, or top 3?
He actually was in my top 3, so I'm going to take him out and put one of my other guys in there.
Okay.
So my third best contract was Josh Hart.
Okay. I like it. Same kind of player. Yeah.
Same idea.
Except he rebounds it obviously better. He's the best rebounding guard that I can recall in a very, very long time. Can you remember a guard? I mean, Westbrook obviously rebounded the hell out of it, but he averaged almost 10 rebounds a game, I believe. Wasn't it like, Cam, didn't we look at this? Wasn't it like right at 10 rebounds a game?
Yeah. And the thing is, when Russ was doing that, he was getting long rebounds. This dude goes up in traffic and rebounds with bigs. I mean,
he don't mess around, dude. He's in there. 13.6, 9.6. Jonathan, he averages 6 assists a game.
I know.
And he shoots, 50% from the field. He's very average from 3, but that's okay because that's not why he's on the floor.
Right.
And he's got a PER that's better than average. What was he making a year, Jonathan, on your list?
It's 19. I think it's
19, so a shade more than Caruso, somewhere in the 90s maybe on the list.
Yeah.
That Josh Hart's a really good one. And again, Josh Hart, another player that we saw in the conference finals right there on the cusp. They could have made it, but game one sunk those dudes from the Knicks. It cost Thibodeau his job. It's going to cost, Karl Anthony Towns, his reputation. It's like everything we see about Karl Anthony Towns now is a meme or a joke. It has nothing to do with the fact that he was like an all NBA guy. You know what I mean?
I can't believe Arenas came out and said that. I really can't. That is
If you missed it, go check out what Gilbert Arenas said. All right, my number 3 best. You ready for this? My number 3 best is Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen is number 88 on the list, and he wouldn't be my pick for an ultra do-it-all center or anything like that, right? But you know what you're going to get. The dude's made an all-star team. He is a much better than average defender, and I'll be honest with you. I know Evan Mobley's everybody's new defensive darling, and everybody thinks Evan Mobley's great. We can flush all the bullshit about Kevin being a hybrid Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan. I think that's a little overblown. Yes. And I know he got Defensive Player of the Year, but Jarrett Allen makes half of what Zion makes, and he makes about half of what Evan Mobley makes. And they're on the same team, and they sort of play the same position, kind of, I guess. Is Mobley a center or a power forward? Wouldn't Mobley be the center if Jarrett Allen got traded?
Yes, he would.
Yeah, I think so too. Here's something I've got pulled up for you here. And again, keep in mind, I'm not saying Evan Mobley had a better season than Jarrett Allen. He certainly did not. But Jarrett Allen gives you no trouble at all. He's got a beautiful, melodic, delicious, deep voice, a tremendous afro which reeks of the ABA. And then he wears a headband. I mean, what else do you want? A little bit of a gap in his front teeth, which is also perfect for 70s ABA basketball.
Yep.
But he played all 82 games. He's averaging 13.5 and 9.7. He's shooting, are you sitting down for this? 70% plus from the field. That's stupid. That is somebody who knows their role and only dunks the ball or drops it into the goal, right?
Yes.
And what better teammate to have, especially somebody like you or me. Cameron actually passed the ball when he played basketball, probably too much, to a fault.
Yep.
But you and I, what better teammate to have than a teammate who only dunks it and shoots layups and never takes field goal attempts away from us?
Yeah, and is able to do it like 6 or 7 times a game, and that's all. That's it.
That's it. Let's go 7 for 8 and average 14 and 10. That's freaking great for $20 million. That's like a steal. And I know that sounds hilarious because $20 million is, I mean, you probably barely even make $20 million a year. That's not, it's still a lot of money.
Barely.
Barely.
Look, Jarrett Allen was on my list as well, so I'll have to take him. But we agree.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we've had 3 people and all 3 have been on your list. Okay. So you're running short. Cam, give us your second best contract.
My second best was Josh Hart, but I'll throw in Zubac. Zubac.
Okay, now you're taking away from me, and you're really cramping my style.
He was my number one.
He was my number one.
Yeah.
Zubac is my number one.
He was kind of like 4.
Okay, I don't think people would be like, you 3 crackers are stupid. Why did you have Zubats number 1? Well, let me just tell you, because the Zubats last year wasn't the Zubats from the prior 8 or 9, 10 years of his career. Zubats last year, listen to these numbers: 16.8, 12.6. That's a huge jump.
Yes.
2.7 assists, 62.8% from the field. Knows better than to take a 3-pointer. Yes. And 66% from the line is not great, but look at his PER, 22.3.
How many blocks? Let's
go look. Yeah, he was
didn't he lead the league? Did he not? Yeah, he couldn't. I guess he couldn't.
Yeah, he's like the love child of Mark Gasol and Brian Scalabrine. That's what Zubac is.
1.1. Never mind. 1.1 blocks. My bad.
1.1 blocks in the modern NBA is a lot. If you block one shot a game, you're like top 20 in the league. I know that sounds crazy. But he's 27 years old. People don't realize that. The dude's been playing 9 years. He's 27. Yep. So he's played 9 years, and he's approaching his prime as an NBA center. But he had a huge year, man. 16.8, 12.6. Crushed the defensive glass for sure. He just came out of nowhere. He never averaged 10 rebounds a game, and he never averaged 12 points a game. But to jump from to almost 17 and 12 and a half that's huge. That's like
he was an all-star. He was an all-star in the West.
Yeah. He should have been an all-star. He wasn't.
You sure?
There's no star next to his name.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I thought this year he made the all-star team. I didn't know.
I don't think he did, dude. And if he didn't, he did make the all-defensive team.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
Which was obviously a big get, right? So
yeah. What's his nickname? Go to his nicknames. I want to look at them.
Okay.
I was curious.
They have the best.
Zublock, I've heard that one. Zublocka, I've heard that one.
Like that one.
Big Z, Zupac, as in a play on words with Tupac, and then Zoo Alcindor.
There it is. That's the one.
I have not heard that one. I remember watching this sloppy fat kid play when he was a rookie for the Lakers and thinking, dude, this guy is – you could see weird little flashes of, like, skillful stuff, but it was like, dude, this guy's body is like a bunch of pudding just like slithering around the court. Freaking gross. Marc Gasol was the same way, though. All right, Jonathan, give me your number 2 best.
Well, Zubac was 1 for me. Jared Allen was 2. Caruso was 3 originally for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Josh Hart.
You've already said.
Split in. Okay. So I am going to say Norm Powell as my next contract because didn't he average 20 this year, like 21?
Hey, speaking of coming out of nowhere.
Yes.
Let me pull. You talk about
like 50% from 3.
Yeah.
You go talk about Norm Powell, the most bow-legged player in the NBA. And yes, I'm including LeBron James. He is more bow-legged than LeBron James. Yeah. You start talking about Norm Powell. I'm going to pull his stuff up so we can screen share.
Norm Powell, and Cam, I will agree. I think he shot 50% from 3 on like 12 attempts a game. It was crazy. But
he's 41% from 3, first of all. So y'all can relax.
I know.
He might have been shooting 50 at some point.
The point is he's a career 13-point scorer, and he averaged 22 this year.
Yeah.
On a team with Harden, with Zubac, with Kawhi when he came back, right? And look, the guy with Portland, and who else was he with? I feel like he was with somebody else. Maybe not.
He was with the Raptors because he was the buck killer, remember?
That's right. But the guy has always approached the game with irrational confidence, I felt like. Okay. And this year it was like, look, now I'm going to get to show y'all.
Exactly. It was very rational this year. Yeah.
That's a lot, man. 22 a game on 48, 42, and 80. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. And how much is he making?
I got to go look. I think it was like 20. Let's see.
Yeah. He was down there. He was in the 70s and 80s.
Did they already hand out most improved player?
Yeah, they did. I can't remember who got it.
The dumbest award ever given, by the way.
I hate that award.
20 million, just 20 and a half, roughly.
20 and a half. Yeah. Which, again, 20. Yeah. 20 is the new 10, basically, is what it is. It used to be.
Just think about this. We're saying a dude who came out of nowhere made $20 million last year.
Yes. It's crazy. And that's why a lot of people fell for the banana in the tailpipe with the Clippers. And like we used to do, right? You used to do it all the time. You used to say, if healthy, and then you'd start spewing some bullshit.
You will not do that to me.
You've done it. You've done it. We've got the videos to prove it. We've got the videos to prove it. We did not fall for it this year. I'll give you credit this year. You're like, nope, no, sir, not doing it. Just like we never doubt the Heat, we never believe in the Clippers, right? Those are our two new rules. Yes. No matter what, never doubt the Heat, never believe in the Clippers. Huge out of nowhere year for Norman Powell, just like it was for Zubats as well. All right, my number 2 best. So you took Zubats. I've already given you my Jarrett Allen. You're not going to believe who I'm about to name. He's got. You want to guess?
No, I don't.
He's not my guy. He's not my guy. He's never been my guy, and we've pissed on him.
It's Harrison Barnes. I knew you were going to put him on the list.
It's not Harrison Barnes. The number 2 best contract on this list is Jaren Jackson Jr.
Oh, God, you did it.
I freaking did it. I never, if we took a time machine back 2 years and you told me, hey, you're going to say something positive about Jaren Jackson Jr., I would have punched you in your teeth. Dude, listen to me. He's making $23 million. Listen to the names that are above and below him. DeMar DeRozan and DeAndre Hunter. And he's making right between what those guys make. If he was making $40 million, we would not have picked him out as one of the worst contracts, and we would not have picked him out as one of the best. He could be making $40 million on this list, and we would have been like, okay, whatever. How about this? Nicholas Claxton makes significantly more than him.
I just thought, because I did look at the list, obviously, and I did see him there, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize he made that little money.
Yeah.
But
78th?
I was just under the impression that we all agreed that we're not going to do that with him.
Because we don't like him?
Because we can't stand his game, and he's been overrated his whole career.
I understand that, but I'm trying to be objective. That's why people watch my channel, because I'm a truth teller and I'm going to tell the truth even if I don't like the player.
Okay,
I mean, the fact that he makes less money than Draymond Green and Nicholas Claxton is stupid.
Yep.
I mean, he's a good player, dude. He actually put up good numbers and a good number of points this year, and you never know what you're going to get with Memphis because your idiot little man, Ja Morant's always doing something stupid off the court. Half the time he's there, half the time something is broken, a ligament, a bone, whatever.
He had a good year this year. I'll give him that. Jaren Jackson
had a great year. How about this? Let me just, and this is probably not the barometer because we could use this for every single good contract. He makes 40% of what Bradley Beal makes.
That's absurd, right?
Yeah.
Bradley Beal did average 30 points a game a couple times, though. It's
not on this contract.
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Jared, it's just hard for me to do it, man. I thought we've been really consistent about a few things on this channel. I feel like that's one of them, and you have strayed a little bit, my friend. You strayed.
I broke the cardinal rule. Listen to me. I'll never get over the fact. Here we go. I'll never get over the fact that. Whoops, that's not it. Hang on. Let me get y'all back. There you go. I'll never get over the fact that the dude is. Let's be clear. Hold on. I want to see what they say about height and weight. Okay, 6'10", 242. Fine. Let's just go with that. Fine. He averages half as many rebounds as Josh Hart.
That's why he can't be on here. He can't do it.
But Jonathan, he's 49, 38, almost 80, and he's a 19.6 PER, and he averaged 22 a game on a team that was absolute chaos. Nobody knew where any of the points were coming from. It was all chaos. He was the one strong rock this year. He played 74 games, which is good because he's kind of battled with being healthy in the past early in his career.
It's not hard to not be healthy when you don't step foot in the paint. Not hard.
Dude, he's an all-star. He made the all-star team. I'm just telling you, I'm not naming him as one of my 20 best players. I'm simply saying he's on my list for one of the best contracts of the top 100 played players.
Okay. All right. Move on.
You got a problem with that, huh?
Moving on.
I mean, you don't, he's the 78th highest paid player in the NBA. You don't think he's in the top 78 players in the NBA?
I'd really have to go study that and see if there's 77 guys that I would take ahead of him. I think
he'd be the second best player on like 10 teams.
Oh, God, that's hard for me to stomach.
I'm just saying it is. I mean, that's just the way it is right now. All right, give it to us, Cam. Who else you got left on good contracts?
So I kind of went with Brunson.
Brunson at what? What's he making?
34. That's
34, 944. So right at 35 million.
Yeah,
you love
being the best player in New York, and I feel like and he's an all-star. So
he's basically working for free, Jonathan. He's working for free, basically. 35 million.
He took him to the conference final.
35 million a year. He took Brunson was my replacement guy now. So, anyhow, okay.
Brunson was one of your replacement guys for good contracts.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just do this together. You and Cam will be together on this one since you're running out of players, and I see you scouring, looking for other good contracts.
Dale Bridges.
I'll also tell you guys that Brunson was my number 4 best contract.
Okay.
So we all agree.
Yeah.
Brunson's, again, not my hero. He ain't my guy. I don't think, I think he's a really good player. He's certainly the best player on his team. Anytime you get the best player on an NBA team that made it to the conference finals for $35 million, you're doing something right. Like you did something right.
I want you to set the record straight with this, though. I want you to tell everybody now that you do agree with me that he is a better player than Donovan Mitchell.
I don't know.
To do that.
I don't know. Donovan Mitchell was hurt. I'm not going to say that. I'm not doing it.
Okay.
I'm not doing that, dude. There's still a lot of meat on the bone.
You did that in front of everybody too. That you, after everything has transpired, you're still saying Donovan Mitchell's better.
I'm saying he's a better contract than Donovan Mitchell. I'll give you that much. I'll give you that much. Look at the names above and below Brunson. Brunson, we said, makes $35 million. You ready? Rudy Gobert makes more. Jalen Suggs makes more.
Oh my God.
Jalen Brunson is an all NBA basketball player.
Yes.
Okay. And he's the best player on a team that made it to the conference finals. And he wasn't good enough. And I get that. But again, conference finals. And I know it's the East. I don't want to get into all that. But either way, no matter how you slice it, he makes less than Desmond Bane. He makes less than 30-whatever-year-old Harden. And he's no trouble at all. Although he bounces the shit out of the ball. He's a ball stopper. But good player nonetheless. All right, let's go. My number. So we've already gone through my number 1, 2, 3, 4. My number 5 best, and I can't believe y'all haven't mentioned him. It's SGA, dude. SGA is making $38 million a year. He's the MVP of the league. He led the league in scoring. He's the conference finals MVP, and he's the best player on the best team in the league. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Historically, this is going to be one of the best seasons any NBA team has ever had because they're going to win 84 games. And that has not happened very many times in the history of the NBA. So go look it up. He makes $38 million a year. The best or second best, however you want to look at it, player in the NBA is the 36th highest paid player. That is not just a home run. That's a grand slam home run right there. And by the way, he's not a bad defender either. And by the way, he's in his prime.
Hey, how do you feel about Evan Mobley making more money than he does?
Well, you know how I feel, but let me tell you something. SGA is about to flip the script in a huge way when he signs this extension. Let me just tell you that. That's going to be taken care of real damn soon. That's just a matter of timing. You know how it is, man. Like, remember when Jaylen Brown was the highest paid player in the NBA? How about this? It wasn't very long ago. Jaylen Brown was the highest paid player in the NBA. He's already 11th.
I know. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
it didn't take long.
That stuff has a tendency to correct itself real quickly. But SGA, and I know it's not like he's playing for free, but at a discount, let's say making $38 million when he should be making $48 million. That's part of the reason you can fit a guy like a Caruso. That's half of Caruso's contract under the salary cap. That's 3 or 4 guys. That's a Kason Wallace and the bad Jalen Williams. I mean, you could add up 3 players and get to that $10 million that they've saved because he should be making $45-50 million a year. There's no doubt about that, right? I mean, there's a guy on our list that's almost making $60 million a year, and he's almost a grandpa.
Yes, that is very true.
All right, we're done with our best. That's it. That's our best. Those are fun to talk about, but it's not nearly as fun to talk about as the worst. And this was really easy. This was like shooting fish in a barrel. Cam, give us your 3rd worst contract on your list.
There's a guy on here where I just have personal bias and I hate him so much. I want to put him as my number 1, but I'll just say Draymond Green. Let's put Draymond Green at 3rd worst because he makes $26 million just to do dribble handoffs. And I think that's robbery because that's all he does. He doesn't provide.
He's number 1 on my list. He was number 1.
I was going to put him at 1.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it, though.
Tell me how much he makes so I can find his ass. Where is he?
$25 million a year.
25, 20, yeah, something like that.
All right. So just to be clear, and so the people that are listening understand, he is 71st on our list. Right. There's 30 teams in the NBA. That means he needs to be the 2nd or 3rd best player on an NBA team. He making $25.8 million a year to average. And I know everybody's going to talk about what a great, amazing defender he is, because that's what we do. When somebody is a good defender, like 5-6 years ago, we just assume they're a good defender 5 or 6 years later, even when that is absolutely not the case. He was right on his career average, which is 9, 6, and 5 on 42% shooting, 32% threes, 68% free throws, and his PER was 12. Keep in mind that the league average for a human being that plays on an NBA roster is 15. And so all of the Draymond Green supporters out there are going to come and talk about how great a defender he was and how he made the all-defensive team, and that's great.
Yeah. And here's the problem. You can go with the top 100 list. You can go with, well, look at him relative to other guys. It is as simple to me as Draymond Green is making $25 million a year playing basketball, and he's not good.
You don't need to go any further.
On a roster. He shouldn't be on a roster.
He's not good. He's productive.
He can be on a roster.
No, I'm saying like he's not a good NBA player.
Let me ask you this. You know how every summer they do that thing on ESPN called the basketball tournament where, you play, the winning team gets $1 million. Would he be the best player on any team in that tournament?
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't deserve to start probably on any team in that tournament.
How has he stolen money this long? How has he gotten away with this? Because we've seen predecessors. You know how like P. Diddy learned his little baby oil fondling tricks from like whatever, producer before him, some other old dude.
Passed down, right.
Draymond Green's, thievery. He's absconded with money from NBA GMs, namely the San Francisco the Golden State Warriors, right? The San Francisco Golden State Warriors. He's stolen money from them for a decade and a half. And you know who he learned it from? He learned it from the ilk of Kendrick Perkins. Yeah, and he learned it from guys like I'm trying to think of some other guys. Oh, like a Matthew Dellavedova. Sorry, Australian friends. I don't like Dellavedova. I know he's a hero.
Maybe an Udonis Haslem.
Well, hold on now, because there's a big difference. Let's go see what Udonis Haslem makes.
That's fair.
He was also likable.
And he's a player coach. I don't care what anybody says.
And people liked him, and he was a culture guy and all that.
And he was there in case there was another Malice at the Palace or a knife fight broke out. He would murder anyone in their sleep. Although, I'll be honest with you, I'm enjoying listening to him. Well, maybe it's because he's on the stage next to Kendrick Perkins, but I'm enjoying listening to Udonis Haslem and sort of try his hand at, some of the sportscasting stuff.
Just how do guys get away with it? And, we talked about this previously. I know, Cam, you brought it up. Where how does Draymond Green get away with screaming at officials regularly, right? So, like, that's something. How does he get away with, committing intentional fouls that are obvious cheap shots that don't get him suspended for the rest of the season? Like, how does he do that? How can you be 9, 6, and 5 for your career and 40 and 30 from the field? And now not only are you making $25 million a year, you're going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is absolutely absurd. Yeah. Absurd.
Jonathan, there's been NBA journeymen in the past that have hung on forever. And we have a good friend, Garrett Temple, who's hung on forever. But there's a reason, like Garrett Temple, Udonis Haslem, Buck Williams, Caldwell Jones, Nick Collison. These guys' jobs are to mentor the young players on the rosters of these NBA franchises, keep them out of trouble, show them the ropes, tell them how to buy a suit, tell them how to get from here to there, from A to B, how to work out, how to train, how to take care of your body, how to stay out of trouble, all of these things, right? That's what those guys are for. They're like hybrid coaches. They really are. Yep. Hybrid coach, therapist, mentor, father figure.
And
Draymond Green is the opposite of all those things.
Punched him. He punched the mentor or whatever, Padawan. I don't know.
Jordan I really wish they would have chosen Jordan Poole over Draymond Green.
I do too. And I'll tell you this. The other thing about those guys you mentioned was at one point in time, they were all good, serviceable NBA players. Okay. And I'm not saying Draymond Green never was. I'm not.
Yeah.
But the point is, they were never viewed as anything close to what, for whatever the reason, he's
class. They were pure class, dude. That whole list of names is pure class.
That's anyhow, you're right about that for sure.
Yeah. Right. You know who I think is going to be the next to hang on too long, and I have a feeling Cameron might even bring his name up in this video. The next guy to hang on too long, I just feel like this could happen, is CJ McCollum. Like, no one's ever said a bad word about CJ McCollum, and he actually did put up some decent numbers this year. I know Cam's probably got him on his list.
He always does.
Yeah, but can you not see CJ McCollum playing like 6 more years into like age 38 or 39?
Maybe, but nobody will care.
I know, but I'm just saying he's just a guy that came to my mind. Like, who's next to hang on forever because of how class they are? We see Chris Paul's doing it right now, and he's a little different than those other guys. Like, he's not the most gentlemanly sort, right? He's not he doesn't have quite a soft a demeanor. All right, where are we? I got completely lost.
So Draymond was his third.
Okay.
Contract, worst contract. Yeah.
When you bring up the Draymond, all hell breaks loose on the
I know, yeah. and he did it to us. He did it to us again. So so I guess we're going to my.
You go to yours
contract. Okay. So my third worst contract is going to be, again, I'm taking Draymond out now because he was my number one. Okay, is going to be Zach LaVine. Ooh. That's my third worst contract. I think he makes 48 a year right now.
It is a humongous number. He makes, he has, from what I have heard, he has an untradeable contract. He makes $47.5 million.
Yeah. So $48 million. And his numbers are always halfway decent as a scorer and all that. He shoots a decent percentage, I think. But $48 million for that? Yeah, I don't think so.
What's the difference between Zach LaVine's career and
Bradley Beal?
DeMar DeRozan and Bradley Beal. Aren't they all the exact same career?
Pretty much. Yeah, and DeRozan at least was on those good Raptors teams, decent Raptors teams.
Well, they traded him and immediately won a title. So.
No, I know that, but I'm saying that those teams made playoff runs.
Yeah, they were always good. Yeah, they were always a playoff team, and they were a butt killer one year too.
He was their best. He was their best player, right?
Him or Kyle Lowry, and of course, unless you were playing the Bucks, and then it was Norman Powell. So
right,
yeah. Siakam was on those teams. Those teams were. They were pretty good teams in the East, man.
Yeah, I just think the only difference is that he did play in a winning situation at one point. LaVine has never done it. In fact, LaVine has played in nothing but losing situations, and he's one of the main reasons for it, I think. So, but
has Beal ever played in a winning situation?
Not as the guy for sure.
Yeah,
but look, he shot 50, 45. I mean, God, dog, man, those are impressive numbers. 74 games. I mean, I don't know, but 17 PER. But to me, I guess I just look at it and go, he's making $48 million a year.
Well, let me give you the two guys that are above and below him, and I'll let you choose which player you want. First of all, he's making more money than Luka Doncic, so we'll just start there. The guy above him, these guys basically make the same. So you just tell me who you would choose: Donovan Mitchell, Lauri Markkanen, or Zach LaVine.
Yeah, the first two for sure.
You choose the first two. Cam, same.
I don't know. I don't really watch Markkanen, so I don't know. But definitely Mitchell.
Yeah. Okay. So it's my turn for my third worst. My number 3 worst, I got Beal. And I know you guys probably have him as your worst. I don't have him as my worst because I'm thinking about it this way. Next year, there's 2 players. And Beal makes the 10th most in the NBA. He is 10th on the list of the highest paid players. He makes, oh my God, $53 million a year. That's 2.5 times what Zubats makes.
No trade clause. He has a
no trade clause. So that's not just an asterisk. That's like underline, bold, and italicized. Yes. That is a big ass deal. Yes. Now we're not going to get into how long we should have said this at the beginning, and I didn't say this. So this is on me. We're not talking about the length of the contracts because, for instance, like Beal may have 1 more year left. If Zach LaVine has 4 more years left, I would consider Zach LaVine's contract worse. We're only talking about next season, how much they make, not how many years are left on their contract. So we're not talking about the worst contracts. We're talking about the worst 1-year salary next year, just to be clear. Yep. Bradley Beal is the 10th highest paid player in the NBA next year. I don't think he's in the top 10 players in the NBA. Do you?
Yeah, not next year.
Well, he's not in the top 3 players on the Suns, so that's probably a good place to start.
Dude,
that's probably a good place to start.
It's an awful contract. The no trade clause is the thing that does it for me.
Yeah, we should note that the Suns have 3 of the 11 highest paid players in the NBA. So when you say big three, that's like the most swollen, bloated, chubby big three of all time.
And if I remember correctly, they did not make the playoffs this year.
Here's the names above and below him: Jason Tatum and Devin Booker. And I haven't looked, but I'm pretty sure those guys are half a decade younger than Bradley Beal as well.
And half a decade better as well. Yes.
Yeah, that contract is a disaster. And that contract happened because Ishbia took over the team and he tried to make this immediate splash, a la Mikhail Prokhorov back when the Nets did that. Remember when he came in, he's like, I'm different. I've got more money than everybody. I'm gonna take over the NBA and do it my way with a big three, and we're gonna put butts in the seats. And that works as long as the three play, but they aren't playing all the time, and they just flat out sucked because you can't fill it with minimum rosters. Bradley Beal is my third worst, making $53 million a year. And the only reason he's not number one is because there's two guys that make more than him who will not produce more than him next year. Leave that out there. Okay. Cam, number two on your worst.
I wrote down literally probably like 8 or 9 names. I keep switching them in and out. I'm going to go with Joel Embiid as number 2.
That's my number one worst.
He makes $55 million.
Number one.
I think he's played like in his career like half of his games, maybe less. And listen to me. Honestly, I think he might. If he plays this year, I think last year, I think he sucks. I think he's actually terrible at basketball.
Well, you can't say that.
No, I think he is. I think he was getting weird last year where he was. It started with the Olympics and he was just diving into players looking for fouls.
Yeah. I get it.
A little bit overrated starting now, and that contract is awful.
Here's the deal. You nailed it, Cam. He has had a potential 902 games in his career because he's played 8 seasons or 9 seasons or something like that. He could have played 902 regular season games. He's played 452. So he's 1 game over playing half of his games. My understanding is the surgeries that he just received, he will never again in his career play back-to-back games. Ever. Like he will never be able to play in a back-to-back as long as he lives. That's my understanding. Yep. And let me just give you how many games he's played over the last 2 or 3 seasons. And this is why, is because it's almost worse than the guy that I'm about to name next, who's not playing at all next year. At least you know he's not playing at all. This guy, you just don't know. So his last 3 seasons, he's played 66, 39, and 19. I don't know how you can –
and he was the MVP the year he played 66.
And he only won it because he pouted after losing it to Jokic again.
He got it out of voter fatigue
just because he about that on Twitter and pouted, and definitely did not deserve it that year he won.
So Embiid was my number one. Was my number 2 behind Draymond, and out of Draymond, it was just out of pure spite, obviously. But
I was about to say, dude, you can't want Embiid at $55 million more than Draymond.
I most certainly can do that. Yeah, I can definitely.
No.
Well, because I don't think Draymond
has earned it. He's actually a good player, or was.
I don't think Draymond Green should be in the NBA. There's a total difference right there. Now, granted, I can't stand Embiid. Okay, I can't stand Embiid. His whole thing, the fact that he falls on the ground all the time, like it drives me nuts. And I'm 100% on board with this. But don't make me go away from my. I would rather have him than Draymond on my team, and I would.
It feels like it's your hatred for Draymond's embedded in your soul, like it's inextricabably interwoven in your soul.
Yeah,
because we see the truth. We see the truth.
Once you've seen the truth, you can't unsee it. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, so you just stole my number 1 worst. Embiid was my number 1 worst. I'm going to give you. This is really difficult for me to say, but my number 2 worst. His career ended about 5 weeks ago when he did his Achilles. And it's
Tatum's out?
It's Damian Lillard.
Oh, Lillard. Okay.
It's Damian Lillard. $58.5 million, which is the second highest paid player in the NBA.
Yeah.
He plays for my favorite team.
Yeah.
He is a player whose cards I collect heavily. So I truly care about the success of Damian Lillard. He is a pro's pro. He's always done everything right. He was overly loyal to the Blazers. Too long. He gave them too long of a leash, and he wasted a good portion of the prime of his career there. He never complains. He is not a great defensive player, but he certainly was trying to play defense for the Bucks this year. he is flat out. If it wasn't for Steph Curry, he would be perceived as, maybe he's better than Gilbert Arenas, but he's the Gilbert Arenas type, the microwave, except he's a much better percentage shooter than Gilbert Arenas. That's probably not a good example. But he's pure class. He's awesome. His contract was, and again, I love the guy, terrible.
Yeah.
Without the injury.
Right.
Now, not only is he injured, out for the whole season, it sounds like, but he has sunk the Bucks franchise. They will not win another one for the foreseeable future, at least a decade, because no free agents go there, and they're going to have to do it in the draft, and they don't have draft picks. Giannis is now gone because of Brook Lopez's contract, Bobby Portis's contract, Middleton's contract, which now they're off of, and now because of Damian Lillard's contract. So all of these contracts were done to try to keep Giannis happy, to keep him in Milwaukee, and it worked. But due to injury or the Heat or Norman Powell or whatever reason, they only got it done one time, and now they're done. The Bucks are completely finished, and it hinges squarely on the injury to Damian Lillard. I truly believe if Damian Lillard had finished the year healthy, even if they didn't have enough to get by it, I think Giannis would have stayed and stuck it out and pulled a Lillard and stayed loyal to the Bucks. But now I think he's going to be a Rocket. I think he's going to be a Rocket or a Spur, or don't laugh, potentially a Knick or a Miami Heat.
So what's interesting about that, and I was waiting for you to get to that point, was you're going to have to become a Spurs fan. That is so awesome to me, because you have never remotely had any positive feelings.
I've hated them. Well, I've got good news. There's no Bruce Bowen.
Yeah.
There's no Popovich, who I also don't like him. And I like everybody's like, oh, he's a grandfather. I just don't like the guy. I think he's an arrogant asshole. I'll just tell you right now. I've never met him in person, but he's got a punchable face. He's arrogant, and he's been mean to everybody. He's mean to the media, like he's too good to talk to him. And I know the media are obnoxious and all that. Yeah. But I don't like Popovich, and I didn't like Bruce Bowen. I didn't particularly care for Steven Jackson. But now, when you look at that Spurs roster, there's really nobody on that team that I have a problem with. I mean, I don't like Sohan, but again, that's not his fault. I don't like him because I don't like people who get more credit than they deserve. Yeah. And so people act like he's a relevant NBA player, and they even tried him at point guard. Like, that's all you needed right there. The fact that Popovich tried Sohan at point guard and didn't know what any human observer could find out in 5 seconds, that guy can't play point guard in the NBA.
So I got a great Pop story for you, my only one that I would have.
Okay.
Because I remember I did get a chance to go work out with the Spurs before I got hurt.
Okay. And what year was this? Set the table for us.
7.
So this is when Artis Gilmore was there.
This is when the Iceman was just on his way out, I think. Yeah. No, this was like Del Negro. Obviously, the Admiral was there. Vinny Del Negro. Sean Elliott was gone at that point.
Willie Anderson?
No, Willie Anderson was gone. Dominique Wilkins was there at the time.
Coming back from the Achilles?
Interesting, yeah. But anyhow, so Del Negro was leaving, I think he was going to play in Italy. Yeah. And so they were trying to figure out what kind of 2-guard they wanted. They drafted Duncan that year. Okay. So
good choice.
They needed to know, do we want a shooter? This is according to what Pop told me. Do we need a shooter or do we need a defender? Well, of course, I'm thinking, why would you need a defender when you have those two animals behind you? Like, it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
So anyhow, I walk into the facility, and right whenever I walk up to him, he reaches out, shakes my hand, and the first thing he tells me is 6'5" my ass. That's what he tells me. Because I was 6'5" in the college program. I don't know why I was. Yeah. They put me at 6'5" in my college's program. And that's the first thing he told me. 6'5" my ass.
Not nice to meet you. Or I thought you were going to say, well, I guess we went with the shooter.
He couldn't pick me out in the lineup today, obviously. But, I will never forget that. And he was a super nice dude because he was basically letting me know that, yeah, we're probably going to go with a defensive guy. And they signed a guy named Jaren Jackson, who I think was from New Orleans.
It's Jaren Jackson's dad, dude.
That's right. It is.
Obviously.
Dad. Yeah, maybe that's why I don't like the kid.
Yeah, dude, he played at Georgetown. The original Jaren Jackson played at Georgetown, didn't he?
Yeah, and I don't know if he started on that team, but he played a lot of minutes on that championship team that won in the strike-shortened season.
Yeah.
So anyhow, yeah, that was my Pop story. So moving on.
Well, I didn't have that on my bingo card. Did you, Cameron? Popovich story.
6'5".
I have my stories, but
All right, so Lillard was my number 2 worst. We each have one more worst contract left. Embiid was my worst, Lillard was my next worst, and Beal was my third worst, but I still got 2 in the holster that are really, really terrible contracts. So, Cam, give us yours.
Your next one. I don't get to give my second one?
No, you didn't, because it was the same as it was Embiid.
Oh, we're counting Embiid. Okay, gotcha. Okay, that works.
Yeah.
All right.
Cam?
So first worst. It was a toss-up between Embiid, but I went with Paul George.
That's a good one.
Really?
51 million. And I just keep seeing his podcast pop up on my YouTube feed. And he's just podcasting now. And then he's got the same stuff as Embiid, where he's always hurt. And also he's always traded, and the teams that he's been traded, they get better after he's gone. He was never the best player on the team, except for in Indiana.
But, so you think Oklahoma City's better without Paul George?
Yeah. Yes.
How'd that trade work out? 51.6 million. Paul George is the 15th highest paid player next year in the NBA. Yeah. You know, if we were doing a draft, Jonathan, and we had 30 GMs lined up and they were picking their team only for next year. So you can throw out Paul George's age. You know, we're just going to try to win the title next year. Everybody's starting from scratch. Where would Paul George get drafted for next season?
150th.
Cam?
Say that again. Where would he get drafted?
If we started all over, did a redraft of the NBA, and there's 30 teams, and right now for next year, and nobody had a player yet. You know, NBA, Jokic, SGA, Giannis, and we went down the list. Where would Paul George get drafted?
I mean, I wouldn't even pick him, but
because you can't take that chance. That's scary, right? For 51.6 million. It makes me think that they've got it because there's a salary cap. If you guess wrong on a dude like that, and they just decide, you know what, I don't think I'm ever going to play again because I'm constantly hurt, like an Embiid or a George. God forbid. These poor process folks in Philadelphia, they got 2 of those dudes, and they hit a home run grand slam with Tyrese Maxey. Like they couldn't have done better with Tyrese Maxey. Yeah. And now they got these 2 guys that are going to ruin Tyrese Maxey's career. There's no way out of it. The NBA's they used to have a what was the name of the term that they used? Like a hardship. It was like what was the word, Jonathan, where they could use it one time to instantly wipe a contract off their books? It was called
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm getting old, dude. I can't even remember the name of it. Somebody's going to say it in the comments, and I'm going to say, yes, you're right. I'm so stupid. I keep thinking hardship, but essentially it was a word. I'm going to think about it on this channel. Oh my God, this is driving me crazy. I'm going to remember it before the end of the video. Go on. Yeah, Paul George, 51.6. You want to know who's?
Think about the fact that Embiid and Paul George are on the Sixers, right? And they thought that was a good idea. And they were like, oh, we got championship aspirations. Just like the Mavericks did with Kyrie and Anthony Davis. Like, what? These people seriously have to be, like, joking. Like, there's a prank being pulled, right? They have to.
Yeah.
How did the GMs or talent evaluators not recognize, like, oh, this guy, if he wants a 4-year deal, he'll be terrible. He'll be worthless within year 2.
How do the GMs or talent evaluators become GMs or talent evaluators? That's what I want to know. I'd love to know that.
Amnesty.
Who drafted Anthony Bennett?
Yeah. Sorry. The word I was trying to think of was amnesty. At some point when they redid a collective bargaining agreement, each team got an amnesty where they had the right to say, it would, in this case, it would, God, the Sixers would have to choose, but like the Bucks would certainly say, amnesty, Damian Lillard. Sorry, goodbye. There, boom. We just opened up 50+ million on our contract, and we can get a healthy player and keep Giannis, right? Wouldn't it be nice to have an amnesty card in your pocket if you were the Milwaukee Bucks or the Sixers? I don't know who the Sixers would amnesty, Embiid or George. Probably Embiid.
Probably Embiid and trade George, since somebody would take him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, somebody would take a 1-year chance at him. Right. Like a Pistons or somebody, we'll take him for 1 year. But again, I don't know how many years he's got left on his contract. I have no idea. We didn't look at the extended stuff. Yeah. All right, that's a good one, Cam. No doubt about it. Paul George's contract is terrible. Jonathan?
I'm coming out of seemingly left field here, but hear me out. Michael Porter Jr. Now he's $38 million a year, which is absurd. But, it's not in the 40s or 50s, obviously. But the point is, I think the guy has solidified himself as an above-average NBA player. at best. That's all he will ever be, is an above-average NBA player.
Well, he's got an above-average salary. I'll tell you
he
that.
He makes $38 million.
Right. Okay, I'm going to start naming people in the same area as Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
You tell me when I name a player that Michael Porter Jr. is better than.
Yeah, definitively better than. Yes, okay.
Definitively better than. John Morant, Darius Garland, Franz Wagner, Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham, the MVP of the NBA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who makes the exact same amount.
Same amount of money.
Dollar for dollar.
Yes.
Dollar for dollar.
Yes.
Tyrese Maxey, LaMelo Ball, De'Aaron Fox, Bam Adebayo. There we go. That's all I just named 12 people. That's all you got to do to know the guy's probably been making more than he should be making.
And you hit it on the head when we said definitively better than, okay? It's not that, you could argue. Those aren't close.
No, I don't think anybody would ever. Nobody listening to this could think that he's better than any of the names that we just named. I don't think.
Not even close.
I don't think. Close.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Now, again, I hate the fact that he had a terrible playoffs, but he really was injured. Because you got a shoulder injury. Yeah. And he couldn't get it up, man. He just couldn't. That's what she said. He just couldn't get the shot up. He couldn't lift his shoulder. It was a problem, man.
It's a problem, but he's still not going to be the guy. Now, look, in all fairness to him as well, he had an incredibly debilitating back injury before his career ever started. Okay,
they worried about him big time. He shouldn't be on the Nuggets.
That's right.
He should have been a top 5 pick, honestly.
For sure. So that really that sucks. But at the same time, look, when you're paying $38 million, you got to be worth it. And he is not.
Yeah, he's been through some tough stuff too, though. I think wasn't his brother the one in the betting scandal? Yeah,
I don't know about that. I don't know that.
Yeah, his brother was betting against himself to score on FanDuel or whatever.
Right. You're right.
And then I think he had another brother who got maybe murdered or died, and I think he had another relative that died. He's been through some tough stuff, and then the injury. And he's a strange bird now. He's a strange dude. He's got a podcast. It's not as popular as this one, but he's got one. Right.
How could it be?
All right, where are we at? Is it my turn?
Your turn.
This is it. This is the last one, so I got to make this count. This is really tough. I've got 2 options. One of them makes $33 million, and the other one makes only $21 million, but it's $20 million too much.
Okay.
I'm going to say both of them. It's my show. I'm going to use both. We got 9 minutes left. Okay. I'm going to say in order, Chris Middleton.
I know.
Have we said Middleton yet?
I can't do it to him, man. I wanted to, but I can't do it to him.
Is it because he's so handsome?
No, he's freaking hurt. He's a great dude. Like he couldn't dictate that. Like he didn't know they didn't re-sign him after he got hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just part of his contract.
He's in Detroit now, which most people don't remember. And he was drafted by Detroit, which most people don't know.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
But I'm going to pull this up for you, right? He is the 50th highest paid player in the NBA. And he is another big reason why Giannis did not win a second title. Now, he was a big part of why he won the first one.
Thank you.
But he's another reason why they didn't win another one, and he's a reason why Giannis is not going to be wearing a Bucks uniform next year. Just my opinion. But
I don't think the Bucks. When we say bad contracts, like you signed Michael Porter Jr. to $38 million a year, he hadn't done that yet. Chris Middleton was an all-star when he got signed.
Yes, but he signed this contract after his knees had exploded.
Okay,
like grenades had blown his knees up.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Dude, yes. This is after knee surgery. This is bad. This was a stupid decision to keep Giannis one of his best friends in the city, thinking that was going to be enough. And they were hoping that an already extremely unathletic person was going to recover from an ACL injury and be able to guard his position. And I love Chris Middleton. I love his nickname, Cash Money. I love the fact that, he was part of my favorite Bucks team of all time, and he was a huge part of that. He was the beta to Giannis's alpha. But these are his numbers from last year. Let's just start with the fact that he played 37 games, which is very Embiid-like. He was 11, and this is on a team where the green light could not have been more green. He plays for the Wizards. I think I said he was on Detroit. I think last year he played – hold on, let me make sure I got this right. I thought – okay, why did I say Detroit? He's on the Wizards. I don't know why I was thinking he was back in Detroit.
Yeah.
He's on the Wizards. He played his last season. He played 37 games. He played 23 with Milwaukee and 14 with the Wizards. And these were his combined numbers in those 37 games. Are you ready? 11.9, 3.7, 4.1. He had pretty good percentages, and his PER was 16.7, which is a little bit better than average. And that's why I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt over the guy that I'm about to name next. But I also wanted to say, if you look at this list of the top 100 salaries, my personal opinion is he's the worst player of the top 67 names.
Okay.
So if you look at the names, and I'm just saying if healthy, right? Obviously, I would rather Middleton make 33 than, Lillard out for the season making 58 or whatever. Of course, right? But if they're all healthy, he's the worst player remaining out of the 67. And I don't think it's necessarily really that close. The reason I stop at 67 is because Terry Rozier is 68, and I think he may be worse than Middleton. I'm not sure, given that he also was involved in a betting scandal, apparently, of some sort.
Yep.
But my last guy is this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And I'm going to share his numbers, and I'm going to let you try to guess who this guy is. He's only 83rd on the list, so he's way down there. He's making $21 million. He's making less than Kuzma and less than Marcus Smart. But correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's a worse player than those two guys. I know it's hard to believe, but I think he's a worse player than Marcus Smart and Kyle Kuzma, who disappeared in the playoffs like never before. Never seen anything like it. All right, here we go. I've got his numbers. You try to guess who he is, okay? I'll give you a hint. He's a shooting guard.
Okay.
And I use the word shooting very loosely.
Okay.
He is not a point guard, and he's a wing. Let's put it that way. He is 6'5", 200 pounds. So he's basically almost exactly my size.
Yeah.
He played 77 games last year. So no injuries. This is a very durable, healthy player. He averaged 8, 2, and 1 at the guard position. He shot 43.
Quickly.
He shot 43, 34, 86% from the free throw line. Do you remember how I told you that the average PER in the NBA was 15? So that's the barometer. His PER is 9.9, which is the lowest I've seen on this top 100.
Was it Dylan Brooks?
Oh, okay.
I want it to be Dylan
Brooks is 1 million times better than this guy.
I just want it to be Dylan Brooks. That's all.
It is a guy
Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson.
No. It is a guy who won an NBA title not long ago. Duncan Robinson, my friend, does not make $21 million a year. It's Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Wow. But everywhere he's been, they win. And
they didn't win last year.
They lose. No, I'm just saying that's the big thing.
That's the thing. You do remember people saying, "Can Denver do it without Kentavious Caldwell-Pope?"
God, you gotta have a KCP. You gotta have a KCP in your lineup.
They can do it without their 3 and D, who can't 3, or D, who just turned 32, and who makes $21 million a year. Yes, they can do it, and they did it.
That's a good call. That is an underrated worst contract in the league.
He's my worst player in the top 100. Duncan Robinson's on here at 89. I guess a person could argue that Duncan Robinson is a worse player than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
No, I refuse to believe that.
I don't think so.
No.
I'm looking like Nurkic is a much better player, even though he doesn't even play. Harrison Barnes is a better player than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Hachimura?
Well, he's definitely better than.
He's better. Malik Monk, Caruso, Nembhard, Zach Collins, maybe.
Yeah,
we're getting close, but Zach Collins is the 100th on the list. Zach Collins is in the top 100 paid players in the NBA. Zach Collins is going to make more money in 1 year than I'm going to make in my entire life.
And he's not nearly as good at what he does as you are at what you do. Think about that.
That's so nice. Say something like that. So nice to say something like that on the channel. All right.
I'm not sure if anybody knows what it is you do. I don't even know.
Nobody knows what I do. I mean, catch me on a given day. I'm doing something different. All right, give it to me. Who's going to win and how many games? That's it, and we're done.
OKC in 5.
OKC in 6.
OKC in 5.
OKC loses game 4.
3.
You think they lose the first Indiana game? I think they lose the second Indiana game.
Did you know you could do this? On FanDuel, you can bet every single game ahead of time. So you can bet OKC, Pacers, OKC, and I put a bet in for that. It pays big odds because if you get any of them wrong, you're obviously out.
Yeah, I think
so not only are you guessing OKC in 5, which I also bet, but you're guessing the order in which they win and lose the games. It's pretty cool. You should go check it out. Yeah,
I'm going to do it for sure.
They're minus 700 for a reason. They are the best point differential in the history of pro basketball. They have the youngest roster in the NBA. They have the most assets in the NBA. They have the leading scorer in the NBA. They have the most all defensive players in the NBA. They have the deepest team in the NBA, and they have won the most regular season games in the NBA. And they've got the best winning percentage in the playoffs in the NBA. What else? Where do we stop?
How many titles do they have to win to be considered, like, where you look at these all-time teams, the Bulls, and I'm talking about of the modern era, of course.
Minimum 3.
So the Bulls, Shaq and Kobe's Lakers, Spurs, they got to win 3? Yeah, I think so too.
Listen,
I think it's 3.
Here's the one thing I won't do, and this is what's been happening a lot, and this happens because most of the guys and girls that are talking on ESPN are just idiots.
Yeah.
They think this can go on for like a decade.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't understand how salary caps work. Hell, just look at some of the names that are on our podcast today. You make one bad decision and all this shit is over. Yep. Like if you decide, oh, you know what, I'm going to pay Lou Dort $37 million next year because we can't afford to lose him. This shit's over. Yep. Like you can't make a mistake like that. And then Lou, or even hell, dude, it could be Hardenstein.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's even Chet, and then Chet breaks both his legs. I don't know how those big tree trunks he could do that, but let's say he breaks both his legs. It's all over. So that's how tenuous the top of the NBA is. And the reason is at some point they're going to be staring face to face across the table from Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams, who are rookies in the same year, if I'm not mistaken. Chet missed the whole year.
1 year apart.
No. Chet, I think it's the same.
You're right.
I think it's the same year, but Chet missed the whole year.
That means they got 2 lottery picks in the same year then. And it could have happened, but I'm just saying. Because Jalen Williams was a lottery pick, like a late lottery pick, but he was a lottery pick. Yeah, I think they're a year apart.
Why did I think that? Let me look at this. I thought I had that right. Maybe they ended up being rookies in the same year because Chet was drafted the year before and got hurt.
That would make sense.
Yeah, let's see. Let's pull it up here. I'll screen share with you guys. Let's do this together. Okay. Drafted 22-23, did not play.
Yep.
Okay. Come on, buddy. Here, all his draft stuff's up here. Yeah, he was drafted in the 2022 NBA draft, number 2 overall.
Yep.
Jalen Williams was drafted in the 2022 draft, number 12 overall, same draft.
So they had 2 lottery picks. Wow.
Yes, they had 2 lottery picks. How's that for going 2 for 2? So my point was, at some point, Presti's going to be staring across the table at these guys, and he's going to have to slide. You know how in those movies they write it down on a sheet of paper and they slide it across the table.
Oh yeah.
And then the other guy opens it up, and it's going to be so much money. They're going to have to make a decision, right? They're winning. Look at the 2 teams that are in the NBA Finals right now. Are these big threes? No, these aren't big threes. These aren't super teams. These aren't Wade, Bosh, and LeBron, Cam. This is not Beal, Durant, and Curry. This is not Klay Thompson and KD and Curry. This is not, Doncic, LeBron, and AD or whatever the hell, you want to fill in the blank with all these big threes. These are teams where everybody likes each other.
Yep.
Their best player is not amongst the highest paid players in the league. And then they've got a bunch of absolute freaking studs that are playing on bargain contracts. And they're like 8, 9, 10 deep, and everybody buys in, and there's no ego issues. And so at some point, OKC is going to have to decide, are we going to keep this model and go forward and let one of these 2 guys go, whether it's Chet or Jalen, or are they going to have a big 3? Because once they pay Chet and Jalen on that next contract, they're not going to be able to keep Cason Wallace, Caruso, Dort, Hartenstein, go down the list. They're not going to be able to keep all those dudes.
What's the breakdown of the contract situation from a standpoint of their depth? Like, who's up right now?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. But wait till you hear how much we've been talking about, guys. The worst player we talked about here was Zubats, as far as lowest contract, and he was making like right at $20 million a year, right? Oklahoma City Thunder contracts roster. 2000, whatever. Team payroll. Oh, here, this is perfect. Here's your breakdown right here. Check this out, dude. Okay, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is signed through 2027, but I know he's extension eligible, so he's about to do some crazy shit. Hartenstein's going to make $28 million. He's going to make 30, 28.5, 28.5. Dort is paid through 2007. Isaiah Joe's paid through the next 4 years. Oh, wait, 3 years. Okay, so here next year is the second column. Okay. Wiggins, who's awesome, but he was barely even used in the last series.
Didn't play that much at all.
I don't understand that. I've really liked him as an off the bench rotation guy. Chet and Jalen are the two, man, that you're going to have to pay. Chet makes 13 next year, and Jalen makes $6 million. Just put it in perspective. Those two guys combined, Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren, make less than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
How about that? There it is. And are barely more productive. Barely. Combined.
Bradley Beal makes more than Kason Wallace, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Joe, and Luguentz Dort combined. Here's one other thing that nobody else is talking about, and they'll start talking about it this summer because that's when they're going to have to make some decisions on some of these other guys, is there's a dude, Nikola Topic, who was a lottery pick by the Thunder, who I think he did his ACL. He missed the entire season. He was the number one player in Europe.
It's going to be interesting.
There's no mistakes on that. Like, if you're the number one player in Europe now, like, it's different than it was in the late 80s and the 90s, right? Where you're like, oh, maybe he's good, maybe he's not. Like, if you're the number one player in Europe, you're a freaking baller. You're going to play in the NBA.
You're a dude.
And he's just waiting. And by the way, he's on they got 4 years of him, and it's $4 million, $5 million, $5 million, $7 million, which is nothing. It's like a pissing in the ocean.
Crazy. I'll piss that much in the ocean at any point in time if anybody ever wants to pay me that much.
Have either one of you ever urinated into the ocean?
No.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean in the ocean. I mean off of a boat or a pier into the ocean.
No. Not off of something into the ocean. No, I've not done that. No.
Okay. Good. Yeah, I'll invite you back to the channel.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know what we missed on our top 100. Oh, here, I can just share the screen now because I had a bunch of little notes, and I didn't want to give away who our best and worst are. And we can just kind of look at this top 10 together. I mean, look at that top 10 right there. Best contract in that top 10. It's Giannis and Jokic. I don't think it's even close.
Imagine that, the two best players. Yeah. Crazy how that works. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. At least Embiid makes as much as Jokic does. That makes
What's that?
I said at least Embiid makes as much as Jokic does. That's fair.
Yeah. Giannis and Jokic, number 3.
Yeah. Wow. That Arenas thing. Oh my gosh, dude. I don't know.
I don't remember that. I need to go watch that.
So great.
I think I saw maybe a clip. I didn't watch the full.
Essentially, Gilbert Arenas says that Karl Anthony Towns doesn't just act like a woman. He is a woman. No. He said he's got a woman's body. He's got women's hips. He's got short arms and long legs.
He doesn't say voice. That. He doesn't say that.
He doesn't say those. I'm keeping it PG for the kids that are watching.
You need to go see what
he infers that Karl Anthony Towns has feminine qualities and feminine characteristics. Let's leave it at that.
In the strongest possible way that you can.
Dude, he's got no chill, no filter whatsoever. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. Peace.